Hello and welcome to my channel. Are your project meetings dragging for a long time? Are your project meetings not giving you outcome? Don't worry, you're not alone, but it doesn't have to be that way. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the process of running a very effective project management meeting. If you're a project manager, aspiring project manager, practicing project manager, this video is for you. It is very apparent that as a project manager, you're able to run effective meetings. Why? In most projects, a project manager is always chairing the meetings. So if you're chairing the meetings and you don't know how to run them effectively, you will not achieve what you want to achieve in that meeting. So I'm going to take you through step by step with different sections on how you should run your meetings effectively if you're a project manager. So let's get started. This section is on the planning of the meeting. Remember, you're a project manager, you should also plan the meeting. That is very important. So let us look at the challenges or the problems or the issues that normally come with planning the meeting as a project manager, and how can you effectively run a project meeting without falling into these items. How can you effectively run the project meetings without facing these challenges or by controlling these challenges? So planning the meeting, point number one, you should always define the purpose of the meeting. That is very crucial. Most project managers, they miss this point. They just go to a meeting, they start shouting at people if something's delayed and so on and so forth. I've seen it, my counterpart from the other side. But the best is to define the purpose of the meeting as you go to the meeting. It might be for brainstorming, for example. It could be for decision making, for example. It can also be on the status update, as an example. So it can also be on the status update, brainstorming, or it could be also on decision making. So as a project manager, once you are able to define, or once you have defined your meeting purpose, when you go to a meeting, it becomes very easy. So you should always plan what exactly are you going to achieve, what exactly are you intending to achieve in the meeting. You define it early before the meeting. And as you are addressing participants in the meeting, you are also supposed to re-clarify or revisit the meeting purpose so that every participant or everyone or every stakeholder is aware of what has to be done, is aware of what needs to be done, is aware of what needs to be done. That is very important. If you don't do that, you find your meetings are going to drag and drag and drag without any specific direction. But from my experience, once you are able to define the purpose of the meeting, everyone is focused because they know why they are there. Are they there for brainstorming? Are they there just to get any updates? So it keeps the team focused and also motivated, even engaged in the meeting. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. Then when you're planning your meeting, item number 2, you are supposed to choose the right participants. Choosing the right participants can also help to make the meeting successful. If you have got the wrong participants, from what I've seen in the field, you might go for a meeting with the wrong people. You want to brainstorm, no one is ready to brainstorm, or people are just arguing with no value addition, with no end. So make sure you pick the right participants. The other point as a project manager, which I've seen, is most projects, they have so many meetings. So you should be very careful when you're going for meetings. You do not want to take the people who are doing the work, you spend hours or minutes with them in meetings, and then you release them, you also expect them to do the work. No, you can't do that. You have some levels. You have some levels in your project. Say, for example, you start from your program manager, you have your project manager, then always have team leaders, and then you have the project team. The advantage of having this layer of team leaders is because if you're going to spend more time in meetings, they don't normally do a lot of work as compared to the foot soldiers. So allow the people or the team members to focus more on the project, and then the meetings just have one more layer. That is what I have always done in my projects. I always have team leaders for each and every work stream. I divide the project into a work stream. I divide the project into work streams. Then for each and every work stream, I assign a work stream leader. I don't expect the work stream leaders to do more of the work, but to support and guide the lower levels or the other team members. So that in my project, if I'm going to spend, especially the weekly meetings or the monthly meetings, just before the project board meeting, they normally stretch for at least 2 hours because you have to go through each and every work stream to get the updates. So I know I can spend more time with those work stream leads, whilst the other group or the lower levels, they are delivering the project. So you need to be very, very careful. When you're planning your meeting, you're supposed to invite the right participants. So when you're planning your meeting also as a project manager, my advice is always make sure that you are setting the agenda you also communicate that agenda in advance. The good advantage of doing that is when you go for that meeting or for any planned meeting, you have focused items to look into, you have focused items to discuss with the participants. In most cases, as a project manager, you find yourself chairing most of these meetings. That is very normal. I've been doing it before, and I believe you're also going to come across it. You've already come across it, and I believe you have managed to handle that situation. So you should always set the agenda and also communicate that agenda in advance. As a project manager, that is one of the survival tactics. Once you go to the meeting, everyone knows the agenda. You don't spend much time. You focus on what you're supposed to discuss, and then you move on. That is very critical in a project management process. Then the fourth point under planning of meetings is to set the expectations for contributions very clearly. Once you go to a meeting, like what I normally do, once I go for a meeting, I put on the table the agenda. I revisit the agenda with the team. I also clearly state the purpose of the meeting, and I also clearly state how people are supposed to contribute and what is the expected outcome. Is it a decision? Is it a solution? Is it just an update? Are there specific action items? So that is very critical. You should always set expectations for contribution in every meeting. Once you do that, you find that running the meeting becomes very easy. If you want me to do another additional video based on what we have discussed earlier in terms of how to effectively run a project meeting, or you have any questions or clarifications, let me know in the comment section below.